Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we are diving into one of the most powerful and widely applicable principles in business, productivity, and life, the 80-20 principle by Richard Koch. This book explores a fundamental law of nature and human systems. 80% of results often come from just 20% of efforts. Understanding and applying this concept can transform the way we work, make decisions, and manage our time. Richard Koch takes the original idea of the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, and expands it into a comprehensive framework for success. The principle states that a small proportion of inputs, actions, or efforts typically generate the majority of outputs, rewards, or consequences. This imbalance can be observed in economics, business, relationships, and even personal habits. The book challenges conventional thinking by asserting that not all effort is equally valuable. Many people believe that working harder leads to more success, but Koch argues that working smarter, focusing on the high-impact activities, produces far greater results. He explains that by identifying and concentrating on the most effective 20% of activities, we can achieve more with less effort. The foundation of this principle is rooted in the work of Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, who discovered that roughly 80% of wealth in Italy was owned by 20% of the population. This distribution pattern was later found to apply across various fields, including business, time management, and even personal productivity. Koch's book expands on this idea and provides a roadmap to leverage the principle in practical ways. Understanding the power of the 80-20 principle. The 80-20 principle and how it suggests that 80% of results come from just 20% of efforts. Now, let's take a deeper look at why this principle is so powerful and how it influences different aspects of life, business, and decision-making. Richard Koch emphasizes that the 80-20 rule is not just a statistical observation, it is a fundamental law of efficiency. The natural imbalance it reveals is not accidental, but rather an inherent characteristic of how systems function. Whether in economics, productivity, or even personal relationships, the majority of value comes from a minority of sources. Recognizing this imbalance allows individuals to make better choices, focusing on the inputs that generate the most significant outcomes. A key insight from the book is that most people and organizations waste a tremendous amount of energy on tasks, relationships, and strategies that contribute little to their success. The 80-20 principle teaches that instead of trying to work harder across the board, one should focus on identifying the small percentage of high-impact activities and amplifying their effects. Koch describes this as the path to working less while achieving more. He also explores the concept of positive feedback loops, which explain why certain efforts become disproportionately successful. When resources, attention, and efforts are concentrated on high-yield activities, they tend to generate even greater results over time. This is why certain businesses, individuals, and investments grow exponentially while others remain stagnant. Understanding this concept can transform how we approach life. Instead of assuming that all actions have equal value, recognizing the highest-yielding activities allows us to allocate our energy more effectively. This approach applies not just to professional success, but also to personal relationships, health, and even happiness. By identifying and nurturing the key 20% of activities that bring us the most fulfillment and results, we can lead richer and more productive lives. Identifying the crucial 20%. Richard Koch explains that the first step in applying the 80-20 principle is learning how to identify the small percentage of efforts, actions, or resources that produce the majority of results. Many people assume that all inputs contribute equally, but the truth is that only a few key factors drive success. Recognizing these factors allows individuals to prioritize effectively and eliminate unnecessary effort. One of the most important ideas in the book is that the 80-20 principle is not always about exact numbers, but about the general pattern of imbalance. Sometimes, the ratio might be 90-10 or even 95-5, meaning an even smaller percentage of actions produce nearly all the value. The key takeaway is that effort and reward are not evenly distributed, and understanding this can change how decisions are made. To identify the crucial 20%, Koch suggests looking at areas where results are significantly stronger than others. In business, this might mean identifying the customers who generate the most revenue, the products that sell the best, or the marketing channels that drive the highest engagement. In personal productivity, it could mean recognizing the tasks that contribute the most to career advancement or the habits that lead to the greatest improvements in well-being. Another powerful insight from the book is that most people and organizations spend too much time on low-value activities. They distribute their efforts evenly across tasks, assuming that working longer and harder leads to better outcomes. The 80-20 principle challenges this belief by proving that cutting unnecessary activities and focusing intensely on the most impactful ones leads to greater efficiency and success. Koch also highlights that identifying the crucial 20% requires analysis and reflection. It is not always obvious which activities or relationships are the most valuable. By tracking results and measuring progress, patterns start to emerge, revealing where the greatest benefits come from. Once these high-impact areas are identified, the next step is to focus more resources, time, and attention on them while reducing effort in less productive areas. Applying the 80-20 principle in business and work. Richard Koch emphasizes that businesses that understand and apply the 80-20 principle gain a significant advantage. The principle shows that a small percentage of customers, products, or strategies often account for the majority of profits. Companies that recognize this pattern can streamline their operations, reduce waste, and focus on what truly drives success. One of the key applications of the 80-20 principle in business is customer segmentation. Many companies mistakenly treat all customers equally, investing time and resources into low-value clients. However, Koch argues that most businesses generate the majority of their revenue from a small percentage of loyal customers. By identifying and prioritizing these high-value clients, companies can enhance customer satisfaction, improve retention rates, and maximize profits. The same logic applies to products and services. A small fraction of offerings often drive the majority of sales and revenue. Companies that focus on their best-performing products rather than trying to push every item equally can achieve higher efficiency and profitability. This approach also allows businesses to eliminate underperforming products that consume resources without delivering significant returns. Marketing and sales strategies also benefit from the 80-20 principle. Not all advertising channels and sales efforts generate the same level of results. Some platforms, campaigns, or strategies yield far better returns than others. Instead of spreading marketing budgets thinly across multiple channels, Koch advises businesses to analyze their most effective methods and allocate more resources to them. This targeted approach leads to higher conversion rates and increased revenue. Workplace productivity follows a similar pattern. Most professionals spend their days juggling a wide range of tasks, assuming that all responsibilities hold equal importance. In reality, a small number of activities contribute the most to career growth and success. Identifying these critical tasks allows individuals to concentrate their time and energy where it matters most. This shift in focus leads to higher efficiency, better performance, and greater career advancement. Koch also highlights the importance of delegation and automation in applying the 80-20 principle at work. Many routine and low-value tasks consume valuable time without significantly impacting results. By outsourcing, automating, or eliminating these tasks, professionals can free up time to focus on high-impact activities that drive real progress. Using the 80-20 principle for personal productivity and time management. Richard Koch explains that the 80-20 principle is not just for businesses, it is equally powerful in personal productivity and time management. Most people assume that working harder and putting in more hours will lead to greater success, but the reality is that only a small fraction of their efforts produce the majority of their results. Recognizing this imbalance allows individuals to work smarter instead of harder. One of the biggest challenges people face is the tendency to treat all tasks as equally important. Many spend their days responding to emails, attending unnecessary meetings, or handling minor obligations, believing they are being productive. Koch argues that this approach is inefficient because only a few key activities truly move the needle. He encourages people to identify their most valuable tasks and devote more time and energy to them while minimizing or eliminating everything else. A critical aspect of applying the 80-20 principle to time management is prioritization. Koch suggests that individuals regularly analyze their workload and identify the tasks that contribute the most to their goals. Once these high-impact tasks are identified, they should be scheduled first, given the most attention, and completed with full focus. This shift in mindset prevents people from wasting time on low-value activities that do not significantly contribute to their success. Koch also discusses the importance of saying no. Many people feel pressured to take on commitments, fearing that turning down requests will make them seem unhelpful or uncooperative. However, accepting too many low-value tasks dilutes focus and energy, preventing real progress. Learning to decline non-essential tasks allows individuals to dedicate more time to their most meaningful work, leading to greater efficiency and satisfaction. Another key insight from the book is the role of rest and recovery. Koch challenges the belief that success comes from constantly working long hours. He explains that peak productivity comes from focusing on the most valuable tasks and then taking breaks to recharge. Overworking on low-value activities leads to burnout, while strategic effort on high-impact work leads to sustainable success. The 80-20 principle can also be applied to learning and skill development. Instead of trying to master everything at once, focusing on the 20% of knowledge and skills that yield the biggest improvements leads to faster progress. Whether it is learning a new language, developing a professional skill, or improving physical health, concentrating on the few actions that provide the greatest results ensures faster and more meaningful growth. Applying the 80-20 principle to wealth and financial success. Richard Koch emphasizes that wealth creation is not about working harder, but about focusing on the small actions that yield the greatest financial rewards. Most people assume that financial success comes from saving every penny, working tirelessly, or following conventional investment advice. However, the 80-20 principle reveals that a small percentage of financial decisions and actions drive the majority of wealth accumulation. One of the key insights Koch presents is that most people spend their time earning linear income, trading hours for money. Whether through a job or freelance work, income is limited by time and effort. However, the wealthiest individuals leverage exponential income, where a small portion of their efforts generates large and continuous returns. Investments, business ownership, and intellectual property are examples of ways in which a small initial effort can lead to long-term financial gains. Koch explains that in any given economy, only a small percentage of industries, businesses, and individuals accumulate the majority of wealth. This pattern repeats itself over time, proving that financial success is not equally distributed. Understanding this allows individuals to position themselves in high-value industries and focus on financial strategies that produce the greatest returns. A major aspect of applying the 80-20 principle to financial success is recognizing which spending habits provide the most satisfaction. Many people believe that financial freedom comes from extreme budgeting and cutting unnecessary expenses. While being mindful of spending is important, Koch argues that not all expenses are equally wasteful. Instead of cutting costs indiscriminately, individuals should identify the small percentage of expenses that bring them the most happiness and eliminate spending on things that provide little value. This way, financial decisions align with personal satisfaction rather than arbitrary savings goals. Another powerful application of the principle is in investing. Koch points out that most investments produce mediocre returns, but a small percentage of them generate massive wealth. Instead of diversifying aimlessly, individuals should focus on identifying high-performing assets that align with their long-term goals. This applies to stocks, real estate, and even entrepreneurial ventures. By concentrating on the best opportunities, individuals can grow their wealth more effectively without unnecessary risk or effort. Koch also highlights that financial independence is not about simply earning more money, but about optimizing income sources. Many people believe that increasing their salary is the best way to achieve wealth, but the 80-20 principle suggests that a small number of high-impact financial decisions, such as starting a business, making smart investments, or developing passive income streams, can have a far greater effect on long-term financial success. The 80-20 principle in business and entrepreneurship. Richard Koch explains that businesses, like all other areas of life, follow the 80-20 principle. A small portion of customers, products, and strategies account for the majority of profits and success. Understanding this pattern allows businesses and entrepreneurs to focus on what truly matters instead of spreading resources thin across ineffective efforts. One of the most crucial insights is that not all customers are equally valuable. In most businesses, a small percentage of clients generate the majority of revenue. These high-value customers often require less effort to serve and are more loyal than the average customer. Successful businesses identify and prioritize these key customers, offering them exceptional service and building strong relationships. Rather than trying to please everyone, businesses that focus on their most profitable customers achieve greater long-term growth. Koch also highlights that not all products or services contribute equally to a company's success. Most businesses waste resources on offerings that generate little to no profit. By analyzing sales data, companies can determine which products or services account for the highest percentage of revenue and focus on improving or expanding them. Eliminating low-performing products allows businesses to streamline operations and direct their efforts toward what works best. Marketing and sales strategies also benefit from the 80-20 principle. A small number of marketing channels and tactics generate the majority of sales, while many others yield little to no results. Businesses that identify and refine their most effective marketing strategies can achieve higher returns with less effort. Instead of using a scattered approach, successful companies concentrate on the few advertising platforms, sales techniques, and promotional methods that deliver the greatest impact. Koch discusses how businesses often make the mistake of treating all employees equally in terms of expectations and management. However, in every organization, a small percentage of employees contribute disproportionately to success. These top performers drive innovation, efficiency, and profitability far more than the average worker. Smart business leaders recognize this and invest in their best employees, offering them incentives, leadership opportunities, and professional development. By focusing on high-impact individuals, businesses can maximize productivity and maintain a competitive edge. Entrepreneurs, in particular, benefit greatly from applying the 80-20 principle. Many new businesses fail because they try to do too much at once, spreading their efforts across multiple products, markets, and strategies. Koch advises entrepreneurs to identify the small number of actions that will have the most significant impact on their business growth. Whether it's refining a niche, perfecting a high-value product, or focusing on a profitable customer base, success comes from doing less but achieving more. Another key aspect of business success is pricing strategy. Many companies assume that lowering prices attracts more customers and leads to higher sales. However, the 80-20 principle reveals that a small percentage of premium-priced products and services often generate the highest profits. Instead of competing on price, businesses that focus on quality, exclusivity, and unique value propositions can attract high-paying customers and achieve greater profitability with less effort. Koch also highlights that business partnerships and collaborations should follow the 80-20 principle. A small number of strategic alliances provide the most significant opportunities for expansion and success. Instead of forming numerous weak partnerships, businesses should focus on a few high-value collaborations that bring mutual benefits and long-term growth. Ultimately, applying the 80-20 principle in business means eliminating unnecessary complexity and focusing on what drives the most value. Whether it's customers, products, marketing strategies, employees, or pricing models, success comes from identifying the small percentage of factors that produce the biggest results and doubling down on them. The 80-20 principle in work and productivity. Richard Koch explains that most people work in ways that are inefficient and unproductive. They spend their time completing tasks that have little impact on their overall success. The 80-20 principle shows that only a small percentage of activities lead to real achievement, while the majority of tasks contribute little to progress. By recognizing this imbalance, individuals can focus on the few essential tasks that bring the most significant results. One of the biggest productivity mistakes people make is treating all tasks as equally important. Many people fill their days with low-value activities such as answering emails, attending unnecessary meetings, and engaging in busy work. While these tasks may feel productive, they do not move them closer to their goals. The key to success is identifying the 20% of tasks that generate 80% of results and prioritizing them above all else. Koch suggests that the most effective way to increase productivity is by eliminating or delegating low-value tasks. Many professionals waste hours on work that could be automated, outsourced, or simply ignored. By reducing the time spent on unimportant tasks, individuals free up energy for activities that have a meaningful impact. Successful people and organizations recognize that time is their most valuable resource and use it wisely. Time management plays a crucial role in applying the 80-20 principle to work. Most people allocate their time evenly across all tasks, but this leads to inefficiency. High achievers concentrate their best energy on their most important tasks and minimize time spent on distractions. They recognize that a small percentage of their efforts will produce the majority of their success, so they focus intensely on those high-value actions. Koch also emphasizes the importance of leveraging strengths rather than improving weaknesses. Many people spend time trying to get better at skills they are naturally bad at instead of capitalizing on their strengths. The 80-20 principle shows that individuals achieve more when they focus on what they do best and find ways to maximize their natural talents. Rather than spreading effort across many areas, success comes from excelling in a few key areas. The same principle applies to career development. Instead of following a traditional path, successful people identify the few opportunities that have the highest potential for success. Many professionals spend years working in jobs that do not align with their strengths or passions. By applying the 80-20 principle, they can focus on the career choices that provide the greatest rewards with the least amount of wasted effort. Another important lesson from the 80-20 principle is that success does not come from working harder, but from working smarter. Many people believe that putting in more hours leads to greater achievements. However, Koch argues that most extra work is inefficient and unnecessary. The most successful individuals achieve more by focusing on fewer tasks and using their time wisely rather than exhausting themselves with endless work. Koch also highlights the role of selective learning in career success. Many people try to learn everything in their field, but this is an inefficient approach. The 80-20 principle suggests that only a small portion of knowledge is truly valuable. Instead of consuming excessive information, high achievers focus on mastering the key skills and insights that will make the biggest difference in their careers. Networking and relationships in the workplace also follow the 80-20 principle. A small percentage of colleagues, mentors, and professional connections provide the most significant opportunities for career growth. Successful people do not try to build relationships with everyone. Instead, they focus on a few key individuals who can offer the most valuable guidance, support, and opportunities. By applying the 80-20 principle to work and productivity, individuals can achieve more while doing less. Instead of spreading their efforts thin across numerous tasks, they concentrate on the few high-impact activities that bring real results. This shift in mindset leads to greater efficiency, higher success, and a more fulfilling career. The 80-20 principle in business and entrepreneurship. Richard Koch explains that businesses, like individuals, often misallocate their resources by treating all aspects of their operations as equally important. However, the 80-20 principle reveals that only a small percentage of products, customers, or processes generate most of a company's profits. Successful businesses recognize this imbalance and focus their efforts on the areas that provide the highest returns. One of the most critical insights of the 80-20 principle in business is that a small percentage of customers account for the majority of revenue. Most businesses have a handful of loyal, high-value customers who generate most of their income, while the majority of customers contribute little to overall profitability. Smart companies focus on identifying their most valuable customers and building strong relationships with them. Rather than trying to serve every customer equally, they prioritize those who bring the greatest financial benefits. Similarly, a small portion of products or services account for most of a company's sales and profits. Many businesses waste time and resources on underperforming products that add little to their success. By identifying the most profitable products and focusing on improving and expanding them, businesses can maximize their efficiency and profitability. Koch argues that companies should eliminate or minimize the time spent on low-value offerings and concentrate on their most successful products. The same principle applies to marketing and sales. Not all marketing efforts yield the same results, and a small percentage of campaigns, channels, or strategies generate most of the leads and conversions. Businesses that apply the 80-20 principle analyze their past marketing performance to determine which strategies are most effective and allocate their budgets accordingly. Instead of spreading marketing efforts evenly across multiple platforms, they invest more heavily in the areas that produce the greatest return on investment. Koch also highlights the importance of focusing on top-performing employees. In most organizations, a small percentage of employees contribute the majority of the results. Recognizing this pattern allows businesses to invest in their best employees, providing them with better training, resources, and opportunities for growth. Rather than trying to improve the performance of low-productivity employees, companies should focus on retaining and rewarding their high achievers. Entrepreneurs can use the 80-20 principle to build successful businesses by identifying and leveraging the most profitable aspects of their ventures. Instead of trying to create broad, all-encompassing businesses, they should focus on the few core products, services, or customer segments that have the highest potential for success. By concentrating their efforts on the most effective strategies, entrepreneurs can achieve more with fewer resources. The 80-20 principle also reveals that most business problems come from a small number of causes. Many companies waste time solving minor issues while ignoring the root causes of their biggest challenges. Koch explains that identifying the small number of problems that create the most difficulties allows businesses to address them directly, leading to significant improvements in performance and efficiency. Another key business lesson from the 80-20 principle is that innovation and creativity should be focused on the areas with the highest potential impact. Instead of spreading resources across numerous projects, businesses should invest in the few initiatives that have the greatest potential for success. Successful companies do not try to compete in every market, they specialize in a few areas where they can be the best. Koch also emphasizes the importance of pricing strategy in business success. Most companies assume that lowering prices leads to more sales, but the 80-20 principle suggests that a small percentage of customers are willing to pay a premium for high-quality products or services. Businesses that focus on serving high-value customers and offering premium options often achieve higher profits than those that compete solely on price. The 80-20 principle helps businesses simplify their operations by eliminating complexity and focusing on what truly matters. Many companies create unnecessary bureaucracy, excessive meetings, and complicated processes that do not add value. By identifying and removing these inefficiencies, businesses can operate more effectively, reduce costs, and improve overall performance. By applying the 80-20 principle, businesses and entrepreneurs can streamline their operations, maximize their profits, and focus their efforts on the areas that truly matter. Rather than trying to do everything, they can concentrate on the few high-impact strategies that lead to the greatest success. The 80-20 principle in decision-making and problem-solving. Richard Koch explains that most people approach decision-making in a way that treats all options as equally significant. However, the 80-20 principle reveals that a small percentage of decisions have the greatest impact on outcomes. Effective decision-makers recognize this imbalance and focus their energy on the few choices that will yield the most significant results. One of the most important applications of the 80-20 principle in decision-making is understanding that not all information is equally valuable. Many people believe they need complete information before making a choice, leading to analysis paralysis. Koch argues that 20% of the available information is responsible for 80% of a good decision. Rather than endlessly researching every detail, successful decision-makers focus on identifying the most critical pieces of information that will influence the outcome. The principle also applies to problem-solving. Most problems are caused by a small number of root issues, yet people often waste time addressing minor symptoms rather than focusing on the true causes. Koch emphasizes that effective problem solvers identify the vital few factors that contribute to the majority of issues and concentrate their efforts on fixing those core problems. This approach leads to quicker and more impactful solutions. Koch discusses how individuals and businesses can use the 80-20 principle to prioritize their tasks and goals. Most people spread their time and effort evenly across multiple tasks, treating them as equally important. However, the reality is that only a small percentage of tasks lead to the most valuable results. By identifying and prioritizing these high-impact tasks, individuals can achieve better outcomes with less effort. Instead of trying to complete every task on their to-do list, they should focus on the few that truly matter. The principle also helps in eliminating unnecessary complexity. Many people overcomplicate their decisions by considering too many factors, weighing multiple options, and getting caught up in details that have little impact. Koch explains that simplifying choices by focusing on the most influential elements leads to better and faster decision-making. The best decisions are often the simplest ones, made by concentrating on the vital few factors rather than the trivial many. Koch also explores how the 80-20 principle applies to personal and professional conflicts. Most disagreements stem from a small number of fundamental misunderstandings or miscommunications. Rather than addressing every minor issue in a conflict, effective communicators focus on resolving the core misunderstandings that drive most of the tension. This approach allows for quicker and more meaningful resolutions. In business and leadership, the ability to delegate effectively is crucial. The 80-20 principle reveals that most leaders spend too much time on low-value tasks that could be handled by others. Koch suggests that leaders identify the 20% of their responsibilities that create the most impact and delegate the remaining 80% to others. By focusing on high-value leadership activities, they can improve efficiency and drive better results. Another key insight from the 80-20 principle is that most meetings, reports, and discussions do not contribute significantly to success. Koch explains that a small percentage of meetings and communications lead to the majority of important decisions and breakthroughs. Businesses and individuals can improve their effectiveness by reducing unnecessary meetings, focusing on essential discussions, and streamlining communication. The principle also helps in managing uncertainty. Many people struggle with decision-making because they fear making the wrong choice. Koch argues that uncertainty is inevitable, but by focusing on the most impactful factors and eliminating distractions, individuals can make better choices with confidence. Instead of worrying about every possible outcome, they should concentrate on the few key elements that matter most. By applying the 80-20 principle to decision-making and problem-solving, individuals and businesses can make smarter choices, solve problems more effectively, and achieve greater success with less effort. Rather than treating all decisions, problems, and tasks as equally important, they can focus on the vital few that truly drive results. Part 11: The 80-20 Principle in Time Management and Productivity. Richard Koch emphasizes that most people waste time on tasks that contribute little to their success. The 80-20 principle reveals that a small percentage of activities lead to the majority of results. To maximize productivity, individuals should identify the 20% of tasks that bring the highest value and focus their energy on them. Eliminating or delegating low-value tasks allows for better time management and increased efficiency. Koch also highlights that people often confuse being busy with being productive. Many spend hours on minor tasks while neglecting the few actions that truly move them forward. The key is to simplify workflows, eliminate unnecessary obligations, and concentrate on high-impact work. The fewer distractions a person has, the more effectively they can utilize their time. The 80-20 principle in wealth and personal finance. Koch explains that most financial success comes from a few well-made decisions. A small percentage of investments generate most of the returns, just as a small percentage of people accumulate most of the wealth. The key to financial success is recognizing which financial decisions yield the highest long-term rewards and focusing on them. Many people spend money on things that do not add real value to their lives. Koch argues that wealth accumulation comes from cutting unnecessary expenses, investing wisely, and focusing on income-generating activities. Applying the 80-20 principle to finances means concentrating on the few financial habits that lead to the greatest security and freedom. The 80-20 principle in happiness and personal fulfillment. Most of a person's happiness comes from a small number of experiences, relationships, and activities. Koch suggests identifying and prioritizing these sources of joy while eliminating the things that cause stress or dissatisfaction. Rather than trying to balance everything equally, individuals should focus on the aspects of life that bring the most fulfillment. Simplification is key. Many people chase too many goals, relationships, or obligations, spreading themselves thin. By focusing on the vital few sources of happiness, they can create a more meaningful and satisfying life. Mastering the 80-20 mindset. Koch concludes that the 80-20 principle is more than just a tool, it is a mindset. Applying it to all areas of life allows people to achieve more with less effort, reduce stress, and maximize success. Recognizing that a few factors drive most outcomes enables individuals and businesses to work smarter, not harder. By identifying and prioritizing what truly matters, anyone can unlock greater efficiency, wealth, happiness, and fulfillment. The 80-20 principle is not about working more, it is about working better by focusing on the small percentage of efforts that produce the greatest rewards.